Hey everybody, this is Ivan coming to you live from Advanced Toolware, advancing today's identity management solutions. What I would like to show you today is how to reset a password for a large number of users inside of your Active Directory. It's quite a common request. The reasoning is beyond me, but let's stick to it. So what we see here is a UMRA management console. I'm going to go ahead and create a new mass project. Now let's call it mass password reset. So with UMRA, we have the panel on the left with tabs called Action, Network, and Form fields. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to browse our Active Directory. Basically, the way it pulls up is just like this. And we can browse our domain. So in my case, I will be browsing a simulated school OU, where I have a bunch of separate school OUs split up by graduation years, where each contain different users. And so let's say for whatever reason, these kids need to have their passwords reset all to the same value, and we're just doing the same value for demonstration purposes. So the way UMRA allows you to do it is to quite simply pick an OU and say display, which pulls the network data into the network data tab of the project we just created. So we're going to choose people from this OU, this OU. Now this time it offers me to merge these records into the existing ones, or create a project or overwrite the records. So in my case, I'm going to say don't ask this question and merge it. And we also have these kids and these kids. So now we have a good number of users here, maybe 20, and we want to reset all their passwords. So as you can see, we have these columns: name, object class, description, and Active Directory path. So let's do the following. Right-click on the path column, go to Properties, and we're going to set its variable as ADDN, stands for Active Directory Distinguished Name. So set that. Now let's go into our actual project. A very simple way to verify that we can actually pull a user based on this DN, because it has the LDAP portion to it, is let's create a very simple project that outputs a user's display name. So in the Actions tab, if we go to the users, there's an action called Get User. So let's use that. As you can see, this action has a bunch of variables pre-filled. If they're blank, they simply won't be used, so I don't have to actually turn them off. So in my case, I'm going to go to the LDAP name variable, double-click that, and specify the ADDN variable here. And these are the variables that are outputted by the script. So let's write out the display name into the log to make sure we actually capture the user properly. Now in the variable actions, variable operations tree, there is an action called log a specific variable, which is this right here. And if you notice, one of the variables pulled out from the user's account is user display name. So why don't we try displaying that? Double click on log specific variables, add user display name. So let's save the project. And the way we can execute a project against a specific record in here, or in file data if you were using a CSV file, let's pick this user and click this button, which means run selection. As we can see, some stuff is going on right here. We found the AD user, and then the variable user display name is Brooklyn F. Young, which is what I would expect it to be. So it accesses the user just fine and pulls out the information just fine. So if we were to execute this same action on multiple users, I could make a multiple selection and run it against this multiple selection. I could run it against all of them. So in our case, let's modify the script to actually reset their passwords. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to add a new action called user Active Directory edit user logon. So edit user logon allows me to specify a password. This action takes in a user object, and if you look at our get user action, it returns the user object. So we already have that. So edit user logon, take user object, let's set our password to ADV963852, something like that. So this will be the generic password applied to all the accounts. And for an extra measure, what we can do is we can log all these users for who we set the password, so we can maybe make a printout for a teacher or something like that. So let's do an export variables. This allows us to export a variable into a file. And let me put that variable to, let me put the file onto a share. Let's see. Here I have, let's stick it in here. So export variables, double click that. We can specify our export file as passwords changed. There's some options here for formatting of the CSV file. And let's say we're going to display the user display name for the users for which we changed these passwords. I think that's enough. We could also put the Active Directory distinguish name and actual password in here, but this is good for demonstration purpose. So that's pretty much it. Get user, change their password, and block the user's display name in a file. So let us save the project and run it on a specific selection. I should note that this project was actually executed in test mode right here, which does not allow edit actions to take place, but it will still print out the whatever was exported. So to actually make it work, we have to turn off this test button. So now it's turned off, and now let's run it on the user again. You could probably notice it took a little bit longer, but this time it actually edited their password and printed them out again. So let's delete this again and run it for the whole thing. So we click this button, run. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a red line running these, and the backgrounds here are now green. If there was any errors for any specific user, the background would turn a reddish color. But in this case, they're all green. And if we go and look in here, we look at our password changed, we can see a printout of all the users for who we changed the passwords. So same concept can be applied to any number of actions you might want to perform against a large number of Active Directory users who are scattered all over the place. You can just kind of pull them in like this and then write a script to do whatever it is you want. Well, this concludes this presentation. It was fun. So I'm Ivan with Advanced Toolware, and hope to see you guys soon.